A drug dealer who a cart had arranged the importation of vast quantities of cocaine into the UK has been jailed for 20 years. Andrew Stevens, 41, was one of 9 men handed jail terms totaling more than 100 years on Thursday after their roles in a massive 53 million nationwide cocaine supply plot, described in court as an Amazon-style dealing network, were laid bare following a drug seizure in the Lake District. During the 15-month criminal enterprise, cocaine weighing more than 300 kilograms was imported into UK ports, warehoused and then distributed to towns and cities across England, Wales and Scotland by organised crime group members seeking to rake in vast profits. But as reported in the Manchester Evening News, the conspiracy was blown apart and culprits rounded up after 1 kilogram of cocaine was seized last February in Bowness-on-Windermere, where stashes had been stored in a lockup by Cumbrian regional retailer Reece Barnes, 31. Police made arrests and seized phones, which allowed them to amass damning evidence as part of a probe codenamed Operation Matrix. This revealed the true scale of a plot, described as truly massive. Prosecutor Tim Evans told Carlisle Crown Court, "This is a Amazon-style drug dealing with that level of organisation and commerciality about it. It was Cumbria's biggest ever drug supply probe and one of the UK's largest." Stevens of Eastfield Drive, Golborne, Wigan, was said to have arranged the importation of vast quantities of cocaine into the UK. Stephen Stockhall, 63, of Well Lane, Weaverham, Northwich, was jailed for 12 years. He supplied cocaine to Barnes and had a previous heroin smuggling conviction, the court heard. Darrell Preston, 36, of Hampson Street, Atherton, and Scott Owen, 33, of Salisbury Way, Tydesley, teamed up to act as brokers, connecting suppliers and wholesale buyer Barnes. They were jailed for 11.5 and 14.5 years, respectively. Commercial dealer Barnes, 31, of Elm Grove, Bowness-on-Windermere, was jailed for 12 years. Driver and aspiring manager Thomas Whitaker, 45, of Breafield, Digmoor, Skelmersdale, was also jailed for 12 years. There were 3 other highly trusted couriers. Michael Evans, 36, also of Skelmersdale, was jailed for 6 years. Kane Turner, 32, from Greater Manchester, but of no fixed address, for 8 years and 8 months, and Anthony Warhurst, 58, of Knowsley Street, Lee, for 9 years and 8 months. Simon Buller, 45, of Freshfield Avenue, Atherton, is due to be sentenced next month. 9 of the men pleaded guilty to conspiracy to supply a Class A drug. Owen was convicted after a trial. WhatsApp messages laid bare the contact between leading the organised crime group Lights and their foreign cartel contacts as cocaine was smuggled into the UK from abroad. Middlemen acted as city-style brokers to facilitate domestic supply of the Class A drug, which was then driven in huge quantities around the country by trusted couriers bound for street users, the court heard. All appeared in court remotely over video links from 4 separate prisons as their sentences were handed down. Mitigation had been offered by barristers representing the men, many of them fathers, who were described as being remorseful for the impact of their illegal activity and incarceration will have on their loved ones. Judge Nicholas Parker said the men had been involved in serious drug-related activity. It is the daily diet of these courts to deal with the outcome of drug dealing and drug use, said Judge Barker. It is the addiction which ruins lives, destroys relationships, even causes death. It is that supply of drugs which drives criminal activity through thefts, robbery, burglary, and often lying in the background, violence and disorder. That is why drugs, and particularly Class A drugs, are illegal, and it is why dealing in them receives such significant sentences. That is why those who do so at large scale can expect to receive very lengthy sentences. But of course, this is no surprise to any of you. You all knew this when you set out in your drug dealing and supply activities. You took that risk for the rewards of profit, without a care for the illegality of what you were doing and the misery which would occasion through the supply. Applications for serious crime prevention orders and to claw back ill-gotten gains under Tough Proceeds of Crime Act legislation will be made in due course. Before passing sentence, Judge Barker had heard mitigation from barristers representing each of the 9. Ghulam Ahmed represented Leiden Light Stevens, father to a teenage daughter. Stevens arranged the movement of the drugs with others, said the barrister, but there were no evidence of him actually sourcing cocaine. He was remorseful and had held legitimate employment. Since COVID, he has been unable to find employment and sadly took up an offer to make easy money, said Mr. Ahmed. This sadly was a wrong choice that he made. The court was told Stockall was previously jailed for 16 years for trying to smuggle almost $2 million worth of the Class A drug into the UK. The illegal stash was found inside the cab of a lorry he was driving into southern England. Stockall was in debt to the tune of around $150,000 following the police seizure of that heroin, and became involved in the latest drugs plot as he sought to pay off arrears. It is correct that Mr. Stockall had never received a direct threat, said his barrister, Mark Connor, but he was being directed to obey orders from an organised crime group, and he feared that if he did not obey, he, or more worryingly, his family, would come to harm. Daniel Murray, the lawyer for the Cumbrian conspirator Barnes, said he had operated low down the criminal plot's pecking order. He had no previous drug trafficking on his criminal record and was described by organised crime group members as the kid unto his tender age. Paul Treble for Preston said he had facilitated the supply of cocaine as legitimate but seasonal self-employment timber frame work dried up. He deeply regrets his criminal contact, and I am instructed to apologise on his behalf, said Mr. Treble, of the dad of 2. The inevitable prison sentence will weigh heavily on his family, particularly the children. One can appreciate the guilt that Darrell Preston feels that his selfishness has affected his loved ones. Owen's involvement had been relatively limited, suggested his barrister Patrick Hart. Character references provided by relatives showed Owen was highly thought of, said Mr. Hart, who added he is remorseful for the impact this is having on his family. Mr. Hart described the prosecution's Amazon distribution analogy as inaccurate, and the language used as emotive, given that the retailer provided goods directly to customers without the need for a so-called middleman. Please like this video, please comment, and don't forget to subscribe to my crime channel. Thank you.